All right, let's skip ahead because this is a little bit of a waiting period time for their voting and all that good stuff.
Attorney General to release all documents and records in possession of the Department of Justice relating to Jeffrey Epstein and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Jordan, and the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Raskin, each will control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Ohio.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and to insert extraneous
Why? Whatever.
material on H.R. 4405.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
We all support holding bad guys accountable, and we're all going to vote for this resolution. But I think a little perspective is important. Democrats have spent 6 months talking about Epstein, even though they had 4 years to do something about it. Now, why would they do that? Why would they do that? Maybe it's to go after President Trump. Never forget, they shut down the government for 43 days. They said, don't worry about our military, don't worry about air traffic controllers, don't worry about our economy, don't worry about American families. No, no, no. Close the government for a month and a half because it might hurt the president. For the past decade, there's been one constant for Democrats. One constant. Go after Trump. They spied on his campaign. Then it was Mueller. Then it was impeachment 1. Then it was impeachment 2. Then it was all the lawfare. Alvin Bragg, Fonnie Willis, Letitia James. Then it was Arctic Frost investigation at the Justice Department, surveilling United States senators and congressmen, and a whole host of other Americans. Then it was Jack Smith and his gag orders and his raiding President Trump's home. Then it was a 43-day shutdown, and now it's Epstein. And by the way, the same party that did all that, they were also the ones who were texting with Mr. Epstein during a hearing where Michael Cohen was their witness in another effort to go after the president. Americans see through it all, and frankly, it's actually kind of sad. This obsession, this syndrome, this mindset that says we got to go after President Trump no matter what that they have. And when I think about it, I think it's because President Trump and Republicans have accomplished so much that they told the voters they were going to accomplish in the 2024 election. We're actually doing what we said we were going to do. President Trump said he was going to cut taxes, and he did. President Trump said he would secure the border, and he did. President Trump said he'd get men out of women's sports, and he did. President Trump said he would make sure Iran doesn't have nuclear capability, and he did. And he said he would get the hostages out of Gaza back into Israel, and he did. All in 9 months. So I don't know what.
Please tell me when Biden did something like that. No.
What causes this mindset, this syndrome that the left has? But I know one thing.
Hi.
It is real. Which brings me to last week. Think about what the Democrats did last week. The Democrats released an email that the Oversight Committee had obtained from the estate, an email from Mr. Epstein to Ms. Maxwell. When the Democrats released it, they redacted the victim's name, something we all support, something everyone supports, except in this case, no court had ordered that name redacted, no agency had redacted it, and the estate didn't redact it, and the victim had already went public. So why black out her name? Why black out her name? Because she had said in her book and had testified under oath that she never saw any wrongdoing by President Trump. So think about what they did. In an email between two criminals, Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell, in an email between two criminals, they hide the name of an individual who had went public and exonerated the president, and we know why. To distort and twist the message because they thought it might harm the president. Their position, cover up the names of people who are already public, but don't worry about other innocent people who the court said should remain private. Again, I think the American people see through it. They see through what the Democrats are doing. The American people know what this is.
I want to stop real quick. Everything he said, does that sound familiar? What have I been saying? What have I been saying all week? It's kind of funny, huh? Wow. And the Democrats?
Stupid.
Fucking idiots. Anyways.
They know Democrats have nothing else to run on because of the success of this administration. So I say let's vote yes on this resolution, and then let's get focused on making sure we're doing what the American families elected us to do. With that, I reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman
drop.
from Maryland is
Loved it.
recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time
Guy's
as
a
I may
joker.
consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Today, 4 months and 3 days after Mr. Khan and Mr. Massey introduced their discharge petition, perhaps the most famous discharge petition in American history, the People's House unites across party lines to draw a moral line. We draw a line against the rape and sexual violation of children. We draw a line against the global criminal trafficking of girls and young women to service the pleasure of rich and powerful men who believe they are beyond all law and all morality. We draw a line to put the voices of the victims and the survivors
Dude,
first.
honestly, though.
We ask the
Red
Senate
black tie.
to join
It's
us
disgusting
without
that shit.
changes rather than obstruct this bill with dilatory amendments, legislative graffiti, and self-dealing million-dollar jackpot provisions for lucky senators. Just pass the bill. We're finally voting today because a bipartisan discharge petition led by Representatives Massey and Khan and signed by 218 of us overthrew the determined obstruction of the speaker. This
Wait. Hold on. Don't you include yourself in there. You were part of the party that blocked it. How many times? Don't try to take credit now.
forced vote means the House will no longer acquiesce in this astonishing real-time cover-up of a multi-billion-dollar global sex trafficking and child rape ring that has ravaged the lives of more than 1,000 girls and young women. We're here today because these victims, these survivors, these citizens, these inspiring women who have come to Washington are demanding nothing less than justice and the complete truth about who is responsible for their vicious abuse, including those responsible for enabling it, ignoring it, bankrolling it, and covering it up. We join them today in rejecting any more dangerous lies about the crimes they suffered. No, child sex abuse is not a hoax. It's a crime. Human trafficking is not a hoax. It's a crime. These crimes are a curse on children and young people across America, in universities and elementary schools, in churches and mosques and synagogues, in Boy Scout troops and college sports teams and summer camps. Anywhere the powerful and the rich believe they've got the opportunity and the impunity to exploit the young, the poor, the powerless, and the vulnerable. We must face the truth and find the co-conspirators still at large in one of America's most extensive and sophisticated sex trafficking and child abuse rings in history. Release of the file will expose the role of everybody who facilitated and covered up these crimes, like J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Deutsche Bank, and Bank of New York Mellon, which executed.
Oh, I know what's going on. I'm listening to this guy, and it's like I believe that he has some good intention, but it's just like, why'd you block it though? Why'd you block it? Your phone's going off, by the way, or your tablet. I see it just in the other room.
Billions of dollars in transactions related to these offenses, as well as any bank executives who participated in the sexual abuse of girls and young women. We must expose everyone who covered up these crimes, like Alex Acosta, the former U.S. attorney in Miami, Donald Trump's labor secretary, who gave Jeffrey Epstein an unbelievable sweetheart plea deal, immunized the unnamed conspirators, and killed an investigation into Epstein's financial crimes that could have brought down the entire criminal network.
Wait, who was the guy that actually reported on this about Jeffrey Epstein back in 2015? Who was the first one to actually talk about it? Donald Trump. Who called it a cesspool? Donald Trump. Who's been constantly pushing this under the rug? The Democrats. Because whenever they do want to bring it up, it's to weaponize against Trump, to try to make it look like he actually had something to do with it. And I'm going to laugh, and I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to just smile whenever they show he had nothing to do with it. And then what? Nothing. Nothing.
And with that, I'm going to yield. I'll reserve the balance of my time.
Why is he trying to get you to stop talking about it? He's literally motioned for, like, I'm going to sign it. As soon as it hits his desk, he's signing the release. And then what?
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield 4 minutes to the distinguished chair of the House Oversight Committee, Mr. Comer, the gentleman from Kentucky.
The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As chairman of the House Oversight Committee, I've always believed that sunshine is the best disinfectant. For years, the American people have demanded transparency about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's horrific crimes, and about the federal government's failure to protect the victims. The House Oversight Committee is conducting a thorough review of the federal government's investigation into Epstein. Our work goes far beyond the legislation before us today. We are committed to accountability, transparency, and justice for the American people and for the survivors.
What, are you going to say that about every Republican that comes out? Oh, not this guy.
The Oversight Committee has released more than 65,000 pages of documents, issued 13 subpoenas, and conducted interviews with 2 key witnesses, both of whom were Republicans. The Trump administration has provided us with Department of Justice materials and access to suspicious activity reports. Unfortunately, throughout this investigation, Democrats have chosen to manufacture yet another anti-Trump hoax instead of pursuing justice. They have mischaracterized witness testimony and selectively released documents complete with targeted redactions in an effort to smear President Trump. For example, former U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr, who oversaw the 2019 Epstein investigation, stated clearly under oath that the prosecution team found no evidence that President Trump committed wrongdoing.
Wait. Say that again?
No evidence that President Trump committed wrongdoing.
Wait, one more time.
Found no evidence that President Trump committed wrongdoing.
Sorry, I thought I had something in my ear.
Despite this simple and straightforward fact, Ranking Member Robert Garcia, moments after that.
My question is for the people that hate Trump so much. Why do you want him to be guilty so bad? Why? You want him gone. You want him. In fact, it's been to the point that you guys just want him, like, quite literally non-existent. That's what you guys want. You, like, call for it. I see it all the time. No evidence. No nothing. You can't provide anything. It's hearsay. Smear campaign. Right. Instead, how about we go after the real criminals that are involved in this?
Deposition, tiptoed out, and publicly claimed that, quote, Barr could not clear Trump of wrongdoing. That was a lie, and we have the transcript to prove it. I invite the media to read the transcript. When the Oversight Committee interviewed former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, Alex Acosta, Democrats whipped themselves into a frenzy trying to manufacture a gotcha moment, but they failed. Mr. Acosta dismantled the Democrats' narrative His testimony confirmed there was no contact between President Trump and Mr. Acosta and no connection between President Trump in the Epstein case. Next, Democrats resorted to selective leaks and doctored documents to mislead the American people. Oversight Committee Republicans have posted 65,000 pages of documents we have received to date. Democrats, by contrast, have released fewer than 1 dozen. In their latest selective leak, Democrats released just three of the 23,000 pages of documents from the
Why is that? Why just Trump? It was over the oversight. The House Oversight Committee was run by the Democrats. Why was it only those ones that had no incriminating evidence at all? But everything that was released was only Trump. Come on. Don't be dull.
Epstein estate. And
it's okay to call out your own party on their shit. That's actually what I continuously tell people.
made redactions to 2 of those emails that changed both the context and the meaning of the 3 pages they released. When CNN called them out for their deceptive redactions, Representatives Stansbury and Crockett tried to blame Republicans for their own edits, for the Democrat Oversight Committee edits. After Democrats released only 3 emails, Republicans released over 23,000 pages. And what did Democrats say in response when we released every single document that we got? They claimed full transparency was meant to, quote, disorient or distract from their manufactured narrative. These are the same Democrats who chant, release the files every day until the files contradict the story they want to tell. That is the definition of hypocrisy. In contrast, full transparency exposed how Epstein appears to be.
So, but Joe, the case started with a 14-year-old girl going to police with her parents in 2005 or so. We listened to those. I say by your profile, born in 74. Who would say that? Cheryl. Cheryl said that. She's trying to guess your age.
I know.
TDS patient 0. The evals reveal a journalist coached Epstein to blackmail then presidential candidate Donald Trump.
The gentleman is recognized.
The files also show that a House Democrat colluded with Epstein during the 2019 oversight hearing to discredit witness with a vendetta against President Trump.
Wait, I wonder who that is. Plankett?
And unsurprisingly, Democrats have been silent about their colleagues' coordination with Epstein. Another email shows Democrat fundraisers invited Epstein to an event or to meet privately with Hakeem Jeffries as part of their 2013 effort to win a majority. So Hakeem Jeffries' campaign solicited money from Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we found in the last document batch. The files underscore why former President Trump must appear for his deposition. We've subpoenaed him. To date, the Democrats have done nothing to help us secure his appearance. I support full transparency. The Oversight Committee will continue to work to get the truth to the American people and to get justice for the victims. That's our goal of this investigation. With that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I should just point out that we've heard now from the 2 distinguished chairmen of the Judiciary and the Oversight Committee, and they've spoken almost exclusively to denounce Democrats. We have a bipartisan coalition here demanding the truth about the largest child sex abuse and trafficking ring, perhaps in American history, certainly in this century, and they want to just throw stones at the Democrats. What a remarkable failure of leadership we're seeing from the other side, and I imagine that the chairman of the Oversight Committee will follow.
Is it a remarkable sign of leadership for calling out your colleagues' bullshit? No. It's called accountability.
Follow up his spectacular failure in trying to impeach President Biden with his spectacular failure in trying to block the resolution we brought to the floor today. I'm happy to yield 1 minute. Excuse me, you're not recognized, whoever's speaking. And I'd like to yield 1 minute to the very distinguished minority leader on the House Oversight Committee.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. And Mr. Speaker, it's wonderful to hear Republicans and certainly the chairman of our committee finally wanting transparency on this issue. It is time to end this White House cover-up now. Now, we know that Donald Trump has tried everything to kill our Jeffrey Epstein investigation, and he's failed. And now he's panicking. He's about to lose his Epstein vote to force the Department of Justice to release the files. And let's be crystal clear. Trump has the power to release the files today. He does not even need a vote.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. In fact, that was part of the reason why Biden did not release the files, is there were legal constraints that prevented him from doing it like that, because they were sealed in a certain way that I mean, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, dude. All I do know is that when I was looking, I was like, why didn't he do it? Like, why wasn't it open? Why, if you know, this was a serious topic, why? And everything it was telling me is like, it was a legal problem and that it just wasn't necessary for him at the time. You want to know why it wasn't necessary at the time? Because it had nothing on Donald Trump. There was no value to it for him. It wasn't going to help him win an election. There was nothing in there for him. And if anything, it was probably going to look bad on him. I kind of wish he did, though, because then we wouldn't have this conversation right now. Then Donald Trump would be able to focus on what he's doing right now. Did you see what he just did with that Saudi Arabian prince? Was able to get a $600 billion deal with him. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, that just helps out, give us jobs and more money into our economy. Better relationships with the Saudi Arabians, the Saudis. Oh, and I forgot to mention, he also said he vowed to add up to $1 trillion to that. And that's not like a 10-year plan, that's like within a year. So, anyways, continuing.
And he continues to defy the subpoena of the Oversight Committee to release all the files. What is Donald Trump hiding? What is Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, hiding? Why won't they release the Epstein files right now? And he must explain to the public why he moved sex trafficker and monster Ghislaine Maxwell to a cushy, low-security prison after her interview with Trump's personal lawyer.
I can tell you why. And yes, I'm going to speculate here. This is my opinion. You know what happens whenever you have like a high-value prisoner and they have information that hasn't been released to the public at all, but it helps the case? You make a deal. Because she didn't have to. She could have rotted in that cell and let those secrets die with her. No. Also, in a prison like that, lots of moving parts. I mean, we already saw what happened to Epstein. He just went sleepy bye-bye and never came back. However, when you're in a minimum security prison, as far as when I say minimum, I'm talking just less staff. There's less moving parts. And it was a little bit more, it's more cushy because they had to sweeten some type of deal to be able to have that conversation and come out with something. And they did. And you know what I do pray on? I pray, and I'm hopeful, that that information comes out. Because if that information comes out from Maxwell, it must be insane. Because you got to think an exchange of value, right? You don't have to be a genius to kind of figure this stuff out. It's not like, oh, hey, we had a conversation. We're going to give you a nice cushy cell. It happens all the time. If there's a renowned, like, unaliver or a been in a high-tier level criminal ring and has information on others, yeah, you sweeten the pot. You sweeten the pot and you make it nice and tasty for them, and they'll just come right in for it. and then you exchange. It's not rocket science, guys. It's human nature.
He should declare, and every Republican should say, that she does not deserve a pardon or commutation.
That guy's name, Vince Foster. That was the guy who. That was the guy, right? Yeah, Vince Foster, the guy who, went lullaby in the park. And somehow, I don't know how, but he was either very talented or very unlucky or very lucky. I don't know. To somehow, insert openings on the reverse side of the skull with a .38 special. Those are revolvers, right? Yeah. It's typically, most of them are double action. Some have a case, but very rarely where it'll double pull, double squeeze. But the amount of pressure you got to... Who is that person affiliated with? The Clintons. Yeah. Come on.
The gentleman's time has expired.
30 more seconds. I grant him 20 more seconds. We don't care how much money you have, what party you're in, how powerful you are. We should get justice for the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. And our work on the committee is not over. Next up are the bank and financial records to follow and expose Epstein's network. Today, there should be a unanimous vote on releasing the files, and we will get justice. And with
We
that,
can agree
I yield
on
back.
that.
And we reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield a minute and a half to the distinguished gentleman from California and member of the Judiciary Committee, Mr. Kiley.
The gentleman from California is recognized.
I have consistently called for the maximum possible level of transparency when it comes to the heinous crimes of Jeffrey Epstein.
This guy must be from
That's
the
why
Bay.
I've consistently said I am inclined to vote for this bill, and it's why I will be doing so today. The victims deserve the truth. They deserve justice, and they deserve closure.
I am 33.
For months, they've had to wake up every day and see the name of their tormentor on the front page of every newspaper, on every TV channel, as has the broader American public. This issue has been so politicized by so many people in so many ways, which is deeply unfortunate when we're talking about matters of the highest sensitivity
Shouldn't be political.
and untold suffering. It is my hope that the passage of this resolution today, together with the work of the Oversight Committee, will lead to the expeditious release of all pertinent material so that we can move on. Let's get accountability, let's get answers, and let's get this over with.
You're right.
I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman reserves.
Yeah, we reserve.
The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
I yield 1 minute to the very distinguished gentlelady from Washington, a member of the Judiciary Committee.
The gentlelady from Washington is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, thousands of girls, children, were abused by Jeffrey Epstein and his massive and powerful ring of pedophiles and protectors of pedophiles.
I'm going to point one more thing, okay? I know, I'm sorry. I pause a lot. But these things are just little details you got to pay attention to. Did you notice when the Democrats are speaking, it's hyperbole and emotion and accusations, no substance. Emotion, no substance. Then it gets into the point of, yeah, we should have this released. Agreed. That's where we can agree. Then you go over to the Republicans when they speak, and they're like, yeah, we need to do something about this, and this is that. No emotion. It's just plain logic. Then you look at the Democrats. This is just this about to jump at the cup at the poop. And it just like it's the reaction to try to pull the emotion from people that are watching at home. I see right through it. You can see it. It's funny. Anyways.
We can't say all their names here. We don't have time. But let's at least bring a few of the courageous survivors and their names onto the House floor right here as we debate this. Haley Robson.
Let me pull on your
Jenna
heartstrings.
Lisa Jones.
Let's make
Michelle
it political.
Licata, Ashley Rubright, Annie Farmer, Marina Lacerda,
Did they ask for their
Rachel
names to be released?
Benavides. These women have carried a burden that they never should have had to bear. And today they demand, we demand, the American people demand that we answer their clarion call to justice. Today, despite all the giant cover-up attempts by this administration and this Speaker of the House, we will vote to release all the Epstein files. To be clear, there is no protection for pedophiles, no protection for the rich and powerful men of either party who participated, who turned a blind eye, who winked and grinned while witnessing the horrific abuses of young children.
What did I say? What did I say? Tug on the heartstrings. Let me use my emotion and make this political and politically charge this like Trump is the monster for not wanting to do anything about this right away, might I add. It wasn't that he wasn't going to. It's that everybody complained and bitched and moaned about the government being shut down for 41 days and that everything's very high in cost when he's been working constantly, tirelessly, has worked more times than Biden had, okay? I could pull that statistic up. But all of this to try to demonize the Republicans. And you see it. The meme culture is out there. Like, MAGA hat. We defend PDFs. To gain the emotional vote. But nobody sees it because they're too in the thick of it, of their own emotion.
Release
The gentlelady's time has
all
expired.
the damn files now.
We reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Speaker. I
said it
yield a
before
minute and a
she-
half to the
before
distinguished
she
gentleman
cried.
from North Carolina and
Before
member
she
of our
cried, I
gentleman is
said it. She's
recognized.
going to use emotion.
Thank you,
Here we
Mr.
go.
Speaker. I have been very supportive of this effort, specifically to bring justice to the victims
All right,
of this
Cheryl, you have a good
horrific
night.
series of crimes. However, I have worked behind the scenes to raise concerns with this petition as it is currently
Logic.
drafted. Specifically,
emotion.
I believe
Straight to
that there
the
is grave risk at harming innocent people. And I repeat, harming innocent people. When innocent people are harmed, that is not furthering justice. With an investigation of this size and a file that is as large as the Epstein files and as poorly defined as that is in this petition, there will invariably be people who are released pursuant to this discharge petition who had nothing to do with criminal activity. Imagine, if you will, a bellman, a waiter, some type of doorman, a mere social attendee who had no impact whatsoever on the criminal activities of Jeffrey Epstein, no participation. Their lives are forever ruined. And I'm reading specifically from the petition's language that prohibited grounds for withholding information in this file are embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. And I would just submit, if you were going to be embarrassed, if you were going to suffer social harm, and that is all of the encompassed activity that you were a part of, you will be named in this petition. And I resent that. Innocent people should not be harmed when we are pursuing justice. I understand the political nature of this petition. I resent the fact that there was not room for good faith amendments. And I urge the Senate to protect innocent people. I yield back.
Yields back. The gentleman reserves.
did I
The gentleman
say?
from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you. I'm yielding 1 minute to the distinguished gentlelady from California, Representative Kamlager Dove.
The gentlelady from California is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, 1 in 3 women and girls around the world are physically and sexually assaulted each year. Of the 152 women in this body, that means 51 women. It includes your daughters, your sisters, your nieces, your mothers. And with the Epstein files, we have a chance to change that. But real talk, the administration doesn't need a discharge petition. It has not complied with the subpoena, and it has the power to release the files today. Instead, the man in the most powerful position in the world has used the full weight of the government to block and obfuscate and deflect the full release of the files. It is the same person who intimidated female members of Congress to withdraw names from the petition, who responded quiet piggy to a female reporter who asked about the files, and who nominated an alleged sexual predator to be our AG. It is the same person whose name appears more than any other in the Epstein emails. Is the worst of the worst, so why protect him? It's also curious that the judiciary is managing this debate and has not even had this come before the committee. I wonder why. Release the files now.
Yeah, dude. Who blocked it? The Democrats. Their own party blocked the motion to get it to the floor. Oh my God. But then they get angry, right? Because it's all a show. It's a political show. What they're saying is this shouldn't be political, but they're in the same sentence making it political. They're trying to say, this is for the victims. We need to have justice. Okay, cool. But then you just got emotionally charged, compromise yourself in mid-sentence, and then what did I say? Look at the Republicans. They're straight to the point, very calm, and getting straight to the facts, not disalluding to any type of speculations. That perfect example of what I was saying. I've said it so many times, didn't I? I've been saying it so many times. Like the bellboy, because he's associated, being in the presence of Epstein during, like as a hypothetical example, that just because of that, he's then guilty. Haven't I said that? I've said that exact same thing, except minus the bellboy. I'm just like, yeah. If you know somebody that you've been friends with them, and then later you find out that they have done some atrocities, just because you know them, are you guilty? Then everybody in the world's guilty, because at least one of us have seen or heard or something and had affiliation at somebody at some point in time, and then they did something stupid. Well, obviously this is more along the lines of evil, but it doesn't make you guilty. It's just a bunch of bullshit. I've been saying it over and over, and you're seeing it in real time. Oh my goodness.
We reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield 2 minutes to
Listen
the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Roy, chairman of the Constitution Subcommittee.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
I thank the chairman. Today, a united Republican Party and a bipartisan supermajority is going to pass a bill to increase transparency regarding the egregious abuses by Jeffrey Epstein, a goal that anyone of conscience desires. That is, in totality, an important statement to check the rich and the powerful. Remember how we got here. After decades, it was President Trump's Department of Justice that indicted Jeffrey Epstein in July of 2019. It was President Trump's DOJ that arrested and indicted Ms. Maxwell. It was the Republican-led Oversight Committee, through 13 subpoenas, that has released 65,000 pages of files in just 10 months. Meanwhile, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have largely ignored this issue. It was Democrats who redacted an email to mislead the American people about the truth of a witness that exonerated President Trump. It was a Democrat, Representative Placette, who literally texted with Jeffrey Epstein as we questioned Michael Cohen. It was Democrats who shut down the government, resulting in the delay of swearing in of members. As we vote to pass this legislation, and it will pass, it is impossible, however, to avoid problems with its politicization. One colleague has offensively gone so far as to say that to oppose this bill means you support pedophiles. Yet I know good public servants, former law enforcement, former prosecutors who never knew Epstein, never knew any visitors to his criminal enterprise, who have genuine concerns about supporting this bill out of fear of creating new victims or harming existing victims, or both. That is what we've reduced Congress to, inserting itself into the prosecutorial process for political motivations, driven heavily by hatred of President Trump. We should be concerned about victim privacy, concerned about risking disclosure of non-credible allegations, of child sexual abuse materials, future investigations. But here's the deal. The leaders of this nation must expose abuses by the rich and the powerful. That is why President Trump and the House have been working for full transparency. But we should be motivated by truth and justice for all, not politics. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman reserves.
Well said.
The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you. I yield 1 minute to the distinguished gentlelady from Massachusetts, Representative Clark, the minority whip.
The gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This should be an easy vote. This is about justice for the victims and survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. This is about every victim of trafficking and sexual abuse, monstrous crimes that thrive in secrecy and fear. Yet instead of shining a light on that darkness, Just moments ago, Donald Trump defended the continued obstruction of releasing these files. Even as House Republicans prepare to vote yes today, Speaker Johnson is calling this a show vote. He's calling it dangerous. He is signaling the U.S. Senate to block it. Republicans continue to use their power to shield rich pedophiles from justice. If you can't stand up for these survivors, how can anyone trust you to stand up for them? I yield back.
The gentlelady.
Y'all had 4 years. Don't play this self-righteous act with America. Look, man, I'm not gonna. I don't accept it. I don't accept it. And nobody in America, not Democrats, not Republicans, not independents, should accept that statement as like, yeah, absolutely. No. Who do you get off? What about the past 4 years when it was under Biden's care? You really cared about it. Shut it. I don't want to hear a damn word about it. And the fact that Donald Trump had said, let's just go ahead and get it signed over. Let's release it. He's already ready for it. They got to go through the process, of course. Once it's on his desk, then he's going to sign away. Not the auto pen. He is going to do it. And then we'll have the rest of the files. This has been a political move the entire time. They blamed Donald Trump for the shutdown. It was Chuck Schumer. They're blaming him because of the tariffs, but they're actually working. They're doing anything to make Trump look bad. And if you still say that, no, why was it only his name revealed? Why was that? And then, he's in there 1,600 times. And cool. I've been reading through the documents, and none of them have anything to do with Epstein's Island or any of the atrocities. I still have more to go. There's a shit ton of documents. But thus far, I have not seen anything. I've at least read his name 400 times. And it's literally just like a reference of like, Jeffrey Epstein has powerful friends. Cool. Great. Yeah, we knew that. That's old news. Ridiculous. Continue.
Yields back.
We yield.
The gentleman reserves. Does the gentleman reserve?
Yeah, we reserve.
The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
We reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is.
And to your point, the statute of limitations. Yes, you're absolutely right. There is something called the statute of limitations. That's how Matt Gaetz got away with his bullshit that he got. He no longer is, I don't believe he's a representative or a lawyer anymore. But I think he got at least some type of punishment, but he didn't serve any prison time. I think he should. Scumbag. Anyways. Yeah, there is a statute of limitations. That's what I'm curious about. Is the statute of limitations going to apply to this case? And if it is, shame on the American government before Trump was in office. Shame. In fact, before Trump was in office, Jeffrey Epstein was already put in into prison for 18 months and then had to be registered as a SA. But here's the problem. The attorney that was supposed to prosecute him had enough information to lock him away for life. But he didn't show the rest of the details. So yeah, that was, and I believe that was during Obama's time.
Recognized.
Yes, just very quickly, what happened under the Biden administration? Well, under the Biden administration, Ghislaine Maxwell was prosecuted for conspiring to sexually abuse and traffic girls in 2020. Right when it's in 2021, she was convicted. In December of 2021, after a month-long trial in Judge Nathan's courtroom, in 2022, Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in prison under the Biden administration for sex trafficking and sexual abuse of minors. But when President Trump took office in January of 2025, they killed the investigation. They assembled all the materials, they got all the prosecutors together, and they terminated the investigation. I yield 1 minute to the distinguished gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Raja Krishnamurthy.
The gentleman from Illinois is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in strong support to release the Epstein files. First, this issue is beyond party. It's a question of justice. Survivors have waited too long. Stop the delay. This is not a hoax. Release the files. Second, we must face a hard truth. Silence that shields the powerful is a betrayal of those they hurt. Congress must reject any attempt, including a presidential pardon or any form of clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell.
They all had printouts of what they were going to say. They're like, hey, we used ChatGPT for this one. Let's just say the same thing and try to invoke emotion to make it not seem robotic. That's how we'll get the America on our side instead of the Republicans. Okay, then I kind of filled a bubble of Mark thinks so. Of course. Anyways.
This cannot be done. This would be a cover-up. We cannot allow clemency of any kind for Maxwell, not now, not ever. Survivors deserve justice. I urge a strong yes vote. Thank you.
Yields back.
I want to thank the gentleman for his eloquent remarks. Pardons are for people who are contrite. Pardons are for people who are repentant. Pardons are not for people who lie. Every member of this body should immediately, verbally, vocally denounce the idea of clemency, commutation, or pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, and we reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Yeah, we reserve, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman reserves.
I yield 30 seconds to Ms. Leisure Fernandez.
The gentlelady is recognized.
There were thousands of girls and young women abused, trafficked, and used by Epstein, the elite and the powerful who believed they could get away with it. Epstein told the young victims that he controlled the banks and the government. Those women refused to be silenced, and today they have pierced the dark with their light. Anytime any girl is trafficked, molested, or abused, the world must stand up. Today, the House proves Jeffrey Epstein wrong. The Senate must do the same tomorrow.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from California. 1.5 minutes to the gentleman from California.
The gentleman from California is recognized.
I thank you, Chairman. Mr. Speaker, a minute and a half or an hour, the words would still have to be the same. We've all said that this will pass the House, perhaps unanimously today. I think all of us who have looked at the details of this particular bill know that it is flawed and that before it goes to the president's desk, it has to be amended as it can be amended in the Senate. And we call on the Senate to amend it so that we protect the innocent, so that we have the provisions that were intended perhaps to be in this bill but are not properly written. With that, President Trump has said, get it to his desk, he will sign it. President Trump has said he will do it. But I'm going to say to all of us, it is also important that we remember that Epstein is dead, but people live on, people who were innocent, people who in fact should not be named. We're not talking about the rich and the powerful. We're talking about the very victims. That is what we need to make sure is amended before it goes to the president's desk. And with that, I thank the chairman for his time. I think no more needs to be said that this body will vote for it all, but let's not kid ourselves. It has to be changed so that it properly protects both the tradition of the grand jury and clearly those innocent people that would otherwise be swept up. And I yield back.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman yields back.
Reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
This whole bill is about protecting the innocent. Mr. Speaker, the Senate must pass the bill as we are passing it today and as the president has said he would sign it after changing his position on the bill over the weekend when he could see the tidal wave of public opinion moving against him. Let's pass this bill, pass it in the Senate, sign the bill, and let us go ahead and release the complete file. I yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentlelady from Arizona, Representative Ansari.
The gentlelady is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, the walls are closing in on Donald Trump and his rich and powerful friends who either abused or raped children or were enabling and complicit in these heinous crimes for decades.
Okay, I want to say this, and I think we can all agree on this. Isn't it exhausting to repeat the same shit over and over and over? I'm pretty sure that you can have, like, okay, maybe 3 people on each side. At least say something original, one. And then just be like, all right, can we just get on with the vote? Why are we wasting our time? You guys want this vote done so bad. I would have been like, hey, do you guys want this? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. Hey, can we just move this along? I got to go to Red Lobster sometime tonight. I don't know why I said Red Lobster, but I think...
Because they have delicious cheesy bread?
They do have delicious cheesy biscuits, and I love them. But this is just, isn't it? It's frustrating. But you remember this. That's, of course, emotion, right? Remember whenever I always talk about there's a process to things and, you know, it has to go through the motions and all that. It's not fun. You know all the documents I've been reading? It's not fun. But here we are. Anyways.
This vote today matters, but here is the truth. Donald Trump could direct the Department of Justice to release the files today. He is choosing not to. They are already under subpoena.
You're referring to the president? He's not wanting to. The guy that you just followed up after just said he's ready to sign.
Led by oversight Democrats and have refused. This is an ongoing cover-up by the Trump White House, and Mike Johnson and the House has been complicit. What is Trump hiding? Why not release the files today? This is a
time has expired.
Release the files today. Thank you.
The gentlelady's time has expired. The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield 2 minutes to the distinguished gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Van Drew.
The gentleman from New Jersey is recognized.
Today, I want to talk about hypocrisy. Let me be clear. I was from Jumpstart, a co-sponsor of this very bill. From the beginning, we should never protect pedophiles. But for months, my Democratic colleagues have done what they think is politically convenient through all the yelling, through all the tears, through all the sadness. They say releasing the Epstein list is of grave concern to them. If that was true, where were they during the 4 years of the Biden presidency? Why didn't they demand the release of these files from Jumpstart in year 1? Mr. Speaker, why didn't they ask for them in year 2? Or if that wasn't good enough, maybe in year 3. They had control. Or not even in his final year of office. Other than a single letter the ranking member wrote in 2019, a single letter. Not one Democrat on the committee spoke out about Epstein or his victims of this very terrible tragedy, other than to say that he didn't like the plea deal.
Sneaky fuck.
Let me say this. When they stand here today insisting how badly they want these files released, why didn't they do it? Yet they stayed silent for year after year after year after year under Joe Biden. It's impossible. Mr. Speaker, it is impossible to see that as genuine. What I see is a group more focused on scoring political points and drama than on protecting abused children. The record is clear. Under Republicans, far more information has been released in the last 6 months than was done during all 4 years of the previous presidency under Joe Biden. We've actually been the party of transparency. We've released the information. We've told the truth. Unfortunately, and I'm sad to say it, they have been the party of hypocrisy. Mr. Chair, I reel back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
You know, I've never heard a more defensive presentation in my life. than what we're hearing from over there. The gentleman should spend a little less time pointing out hypocrisy and a little more time trying to ferret out cruelty, humiliation, and rape. And that's what we're working on. I yield 30 seconds to the distinguished gentleman from California, Mr. Min.
The gentleman from California is recognized.
I want to remind you that we are all here voting on this bill because President Trump, who has the power to release the Epstein files at any time, has refused to do so, calling this a hoax. We're here because Speaker Mike Johnson and President Trump have gone to extraordinary lengths to try to kill and delay the discharge petition, including refusing to seat Adelita Grijalva for over 40 days and threatening House Republicans who signed on. Now, several of my Republican colleagues have accused those of us House Democrats who support justice here of having Trump derangement syndrome. You all suffer from something much worse, which is pedophile protection syndrome. Stop protecting pedophiles, release the Epstein files. The victims deserve justice. I yield back.
We reserve.
Way to not answer the fucking questions, you dweebs. Hey guys, why didn't you release it during the 4 years of Biden's presidency? Didn't answer. Distract. Look over here, not over here. Oh my God. I don't know why I have to always spell this out for some people in my lives. Like this is literally what it's like being me debating on my live. Hey, I asked you a question. The sky is blue. Hey, why didn't you do it during Biden's term? Angola is getting a railroad from Angola to and that was a direct quote from Biden. Is it that hard to answer a question? Jesus.
Members are reminded to direct their comments to the chair.
No kidding.
The gentleman from Maryland reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
We reserve.
The gentleman from Ohio reserves. The gentleman from Maryland.
I'm yielding 30 seconds to my friend, Representative Walkinshaw from Virginia.
The gentleman is recognized.
For years, Mr. Speaker, we have watched dangerous conspiracies like Pizzagate and QAnon shape our political landscape. They help fuel the rise of President Trump and were built on baseless claims about secret pedophile rings, while the real documented case of child sex trafficking involving Jeffrey Epstein remains shrouded in secrecy because President Trump refuses to release the files. What is President Trump hiding? Why won't he release the files? The House finally has the opportunity to release the files and let the American people see the truth. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.
We reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
We reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.